Hey guys, it's Lauren Hollows from Understand TAE. I know it's been a long time since I have posted and I'm hoping to start doing it more often, but it has been insane. The regulator has been super busy, some fairly so, others just things that RTOs need to work through. But I want to talk to you guys today about assessor observations, comments, and context. And the marble jar theory. So probably one of the most common points of contention between assessors and compliance officers is the lack of comments and context when it comes to assessor observations. So I recently went to an ASCA forum and I was surprised at the lack of questions around standard 1.8. And when I spoke to a couple of the ASQA auditors afterwards, we were kind of in the agreement that it was like, okay, look, everyone's been harping on about this long enough. We know that our assessor observations need to have observable behaviors and reliable guidance. So, I'm taking the fact that there weren't a lot of questions around that, meaning that most compliance people, most curriculum developers now know that, you need to have, good context and accessible observations, so what we're looking for, and guidance on assessor benchmarks, which is great. However, it's then how the tools get used, and this is often where there is a lot of to and fro and stressing out and arguing and just discontent on both sides, from the developer to the user to the checker. So I run professional development sessions all the time, and one of the main professional development sessions I run when it comes to trainers is called Assessors as Evidence Collectors, because we all started out probably in this industry as trainers, and training is heaps of fun. And then we were like, okay, we've really got to focus on assessment. And so we became assessors. And then now it's kind of at an iteration where it's like everyone understands that there was so many RTOs, public and private, that were not evidencing that, and that they were ticking and flicking. And so we've got these people running around in industry who are not really competent, but they've got a certificate. So now the regulator has rightly come to the position that they're like, well, look, you've actually got evidence. And this is where the contention comes down to, because we've had to evolve from trainers to assessors to evidence collectors, and the skill sets of those are so completely different. So one of the questions that I get asked like really often, like all the time, like every week, is, what do I have to put as a comment? How many comments do I need to put? What's the magic number? What's the percentage that I have to have? And everyone gets frustrated because my answer is the standard, well, there is no, this is the guidance, but, or there is no magic number. And I mean, ultimately, it boils down to sufficiency. So sufficiency states that there is a relative quality, quantity, and relevance of evidence. There's sufficient quality, quantity, relevance of evidence. I'm going to say that one more time. Quality, quantity, and relevance of assessment evidence that demonstrates competency. So, if you've just got tick boxes, it's really, really hard to make that determination that it's sufficient. We kind of, when you're looking at it, you kind of want to actually know what it is that you've seen and what it is that you haven't. And one of the issues that everyone struggles with this is because it's really easy to explain when someone's doing something wrong, to identify what's being done wrong. It's a lot harder when things are done right. And I use a marble jar theory to kind of explain this. So there's two ways to go about it. One is to kind of go, all right, if someone's a really bad communicator or they're a terrible manager, tell me why they're a terrible manager. Tell me why they're a terrible communicator. And it's really easy because they are, they don't look you in the eye. They are really bad in their communication. They stutter a lot. They are mean. They speak down to me. They made me feel bad about myself. They they don't show respect. They don't, he won't shake my hand. he won't provide me with feedback, or, you know, these, he, she, whatever. You know, it's really easy for us to kind of go, these are the specific behaviors, and it's resulted in me feeling bad, and, you know, or it's, you know, I can see that that's wrong. So, you know, if it's in a lot of industries, if we look at safety, you know, they didn't wear their PPE, they wore their PPE incorrectly, they, you know, they didn't put up barriers, or they didn't, they were really unsafe when they were doing the task. They, you know, used the equipment incorrectly. They broke the equipment. They didn't realize when the equipment wasn't broken. They didn't report it. You know, like, it's super easy to tell when something's done wrong. What we have to do when we're thinking about comments is, those wrong things, you know, are not an issue. It's really, really easy to point those out. For the correct things, we've kind of got to take that point and then flip it around. So a great communicator, you know, looks you in the eye. You know, a bad communicator doesn't look you in the eye. A good communicator has a nice, even tone of pace. A bad communicator is either super rushed or super slow. A good manager makes me feel safe. Okay, now, what is the observable behavior in making me feel safe? Well, here's the thing. It's not an observable behavior. And a lot of these things that we say are good are things that occur over a period of time. So becoming a good manager, being a good communicator, establishing a relationship with a person, developing trust, these are not things that happen in an instant. They are marbles that fill the marble jar over time until it gets to a point where we kind of go, the marble jar is full enough that I can now say that he or she is a good manager, a good communicator. The marble jar is full enough that I can now say that I trust them, or that we have a good relationship. So, you know, or the marble jar is full enough that I've seen them, you know, behave safely enough times that I can say that they're competent at being safe. So it's hard for us to turn around and say, what is the single observable behavior that has made me believe that they are a safe person, or that they have demonstrated this competency? Because we don't feel like it's something that necessarily happens at a point in time. As I said, the problem comes back to the fact that the standards require that we evidence competency. So we have to think about, if we handed this piece of paper over, or all of these pieces of paper over, to another person, to another assessor, would they make the same determination of competency? And a lot of assessors do not feel confident in this area. And the reason is because we make a lot of these decisions on a relational basis. So we need to put some of those points into the comments. And that's what the comments are. The comments are those little points that we see that are the marbles that fill the jar to the point where we can turn around and go, I think I've sufficiently seen enough, and I've collected enough evidence, and I've documented enough points that I can turn around and say that this person is competent, and that if somebody else read these things, they would go, yeah, those are the types of things we would want to see in order for someone to be competent. So I'm hoping that this helps with the marble jar theory. I've tried it out on a couple of people. Big thanks to Phil. So I'm hoping that kind of gives you guys some context, but you know, it is a difficult thing, but it's such a necessary thing, because we need to evidence that our students are competent. Like, that's a requirement of the standards. So hopefully this will put some of the arguments to bed. Probably not, but you know, he's hoping. Lots more to come. I'm doing a review for everyone, and there'll be a couple of casts coming out in relationship to the recent ASQA sessions that have happened around the country. I am speaking at Belg day 1. Come and see me. It's going to be an awesome session. I'm speaking at the Vivacity conference in October, so lots of opportunities for us to catch up. I hope to see you then, and have a great day. This is Lauren Hollows from Understand TAE. Bye.